Welcome to Ask the Expert, a daily series from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. to help small businesses. If you've got any questions you would like to ask, please put them in the comments box, or if you're on Twitter, use the hashtag QBATE. If you need any more advice, join the official Intuit Quickbooks SMB community group on Facebook, where accountants and business experts are available 24/7. QuickBooks also has a dedicated COVID-19 information site. To access this, just go to the QuickBooks website, scroll down a little bit, and then click on the big Learn More button under the header, Support for You and Your Business During COVID-19. Welcome to today's session. My name is Judith Dugdale. I'm a chartered accountant and I work at MHA Moore and Smalley. This is the second of the Ask the Expert sessions that I've done, but for those of you who didn't see the first one, I'll just do a brief introduction of who I am and where I work. I will then go on to discuss a little bit about the work we're doing with our clients at the moment, and then just do a bit of an update on some of the things that have changed or been adapted since the last time I did an Ask the Expert session. So Moore and Smalley are a large independent firm of chartered accountants and business advisors based in the northwest of England. We cover Cumbria, Lancashire, Merseyside, Greater Manchester and the East Midlands. As you would expect from a large firm of chartered accountants and advisors, we do all the compliance work you would normally expect, such as audit work, annual accounts, corporation tax, personal tax, VAT returns. But we also have some specialist areas such as specialist tax planning. We have financial advisors that are independent and whole of market, able to give pensions and investments advice. And we have an outsourced payroll team. I head up our digital solutions team, and that digital solutions team is unique in that we only work with micro and small entities across all sectors, but they have to have one thing in common, which is that they use cloud accounting software. MHA Moore and Smalley is an elite partner with QuickBooks, and we've been working with them for over 5 years now and have over 1,000 clients using the QuickBooks online software. There are 3 areas to the digital solutions team. The first area is our software support and training arm, and that is where we will work with existing businesses and new businesses to look at what is the best accounting software for them, including the add-on apps that enhance that ecosystem. We then have a team of staff that will deal with the general compliance and ongoing services, such as bookkeeping, VAT returns, annual accounts, management information, management accounts, and tax work. And then finally, our third arm, and probably the most exciting part of our work, is the business advisory and the growth work that we do with our clients. And this is where the cloud accounting software really helps, because we have up-to-date information to work on. We can link that into other applications to be able to forecast how much money a business is likely to make, what the implications to change in prices or a change in suppliers might have, how taking on more staff might implicate on the bottom line, and also looking at tax planning opportunities for those clients. Currently, the fact that we've been doing a lot of this growth work with our clients has really helped, because it's meant that if they've been going for CBILS, which is the business instruction loan scheme that's available at the moment, we've been able to get up-to-date information, as if you're applying for a CBIL loan, you need management information up to date, as well as your previous year's statutory accounts and some cash flow forecasts. So that's been quite good that our clients have that information to hand. We've also been helping clients recently with the bounce back loans, which are a much more simplified way of applying for some finance. We've been helping clients with appeals against grants, which they haven't been automatically entitled to claim. And we've obviously been helping clients put together plans for during COVID-19 lockdown, if they're shut or if they're open, and also helping them with plans of when they might be able to return. Now, I've not been able to do too much in terms of fixed data on when they're going to return, because we've not known when business is going to open. Hopefully now, with the government's plan, albeit a loose plan for when businesses can go back to work, we should be able to do a bit more of that work with them. So I just wanted to also touch on some of the changes since the last time I was on Ask the Expert. So the Self-Employed Income Support Scheme, it was announced many weeks ago, but it's actually now gone live. HMRC have been writing to everybody to let them know whether they're eligible or not. However, not everybody has received those letters, and some of them are still coming out, and I'm sure there'll be some individuals who don't even get a letter. Therefore, what HMRC have done is they've got an eligibility tool on their website. So if you go to gov.uk and search for the eligibility calculator on the Self-Employed Income Support Scheme, you will be able to enter your UTR number here. The UTR is the unique tax reference number that is on all your self-assessment correspondence from HMRC. You type that in, it will tell you whether you're eligible or not. Importantly as well, it tells you the dates from when you can start to make your claim. Now, everybody appears to be getting different dates and different times. Now, don't worry about that. The payments are all coming through towards the end of June. I think the reason that they're doing different dates and times for people to apply is just so that the site doesn't crash on the sheer volume of traffic that will be going through. So I just wanted to make you all aware that eligibility tool is there now for you to check. The other area that has gone live is the business bounce back loans. So last time I was on, we knew this was coming, but it wasn't live yet. I've had a number of clients that have applied successfully for the business bounce back loan. And indeed, I did one live with a client yesterday, and it is an incredibly easy process. So for those micro entities listening now and a bit unsure about the large business instructional loan scheme and the amount of information that you are required to put together for that, the business bounce back loan might be an appropriate alternative for you. You just need to know your turnover figure for 2019. That's the only bit of financial information you put through on your application. You obviously need to know your bank details. You access this through your current bank, whoever you have your business bank account with. So once you've got that information, you go to that portal, you put the information in. As I said, you just have to enter in your turnover figures, and then there are a series of statements that you have to confirm and say either yes or no to, or I agree or I don't. And then at the end of that, it will tell you whether you're eligible for the bounce back loan. If you are, an email goes to your personal email account, and then you will be able to sign the documents, send them back, and then you get a response within 24 hours to say that the application has been successful. And then the money follows a couple of days after that. Just so you're aware, it's for all businesses, limited companies, sole traders, partnerships. You just have to have been trading normally in December 2019, i.e. not in liquidation or looking to go into liquidation. Finally, the big change that happened just yesterday was an update to the coronavirus job retention scheme. So initially, this was due to stop at the end of June, and I know there are a lot of businesses out there that were concerned about this date, given that it was unlikely that they will be back to normal opening conditions in the 1st of July. So it's great news that this has been extended a month in its normal guise, but we've also been then told that it will continue then from the 1st of August through to the 31st of October in a slightly different format. It will still guarantee 80% of an employee's wage. It's just that the way that that is made up is going to be slightly different. Instead of it all being paid by the government, there will be a mixture between the government and the employer. And this is on the basis that from the 1st of August, hopefully businesses will start to open and furloughed employees will be brought back. They can be brought back under this extension to the scheme in part-time hours or reduced hours. Now, we don't have the detail yet. It's coming out towards the end of this month. As soon as that information is there, then I know that QuickBooks will update their COVID-19 information site. And I'd also just like to draw your attention to the COVID-19 hub that MHA Moore and Smalley have. This is on our homepage, which you can access through www.mooreandsmalley.co.uk. And we update this regularly for all changes. On there is actually a flowchart map of all the grants and loan support and different schemes that are available to everybody, be it a business or self-employed. So head over to that website, have a look at that flowchart, and it will give you an idea of all the different areas that you could access. So now I think it's time to go to some questions. They've just started coming through. Well, it's not a question, but a comment from Kevin Clapperman on Facebook live feed. He's going to get a one-off. Sorry, he's asking, is it just a one-off payment the self-employed are getting from the 14th of May? So it is a one-off payment at the moment. It will come in June, and it is to cover the period of April, May and June. So the way it works is you will get 80% of your monthly normal income, and they work that out by looking at your annual income and dividing it by 12, and then they will pay the 80% for April, May and June all together in June. Now, we don't know whether that is going to continue past June, whether they'll be doing it again in July, August, September. We don't have that detail yet. Hopefully, given the furlough scheme has been extended, we would like to hope that the self-employed scheme will be extended as well. Just to note that 80% is to a maximum of £2,500, and it is only if you did your 2018-19 tax return. Laura Cottle from Facebook live feed has asked the question that she's just tried to log on to complete self-employed income support scheme after filing out info and being given an 8 a.m. slot. She's logged in and it's now saying midday. Have I heard of any problems this morning? And she says, thank you for any help. So no, Laura, I haven't heard of any problems this morning. However, most of my clients that I have spoken to have been given a midday slot anyway. It might just be a bit of a mix-up on HMRC side. I would try logging in again at midday. If you have any continued issues, I would try and contact HMRC direct. It could well be that although they've tried to stagger people, they're still getting far too much traffic coming onto the website at once. And there could well be people out there that are trying to claim even if their slot hasn't started. So it could be first day issues with their website, or it could be that they accidentally gave you the wrong slot in the first place. I would try again at midday and see how that goes. I've got a question here from Miguel on Facebook Messenger. He says, hi Judith, with the furlough scheme extended till October, which must be very reassuring for pay-as-you-earn employees, how do you see this playing out for the self-employed? So as I've just said to Kevin, we're not sure yet. There's been no release of any information to say that the self-employed income support scheme is going to be extended. However, the self-employed income support scheme was brought out to allow self-employed people the same sort of benefits that employees were getting. So I would like to hope that HMRC and the government will look to do something similar on the income support scheme, so that everybody's being treated in a similar way. However, I can't promise you that. Please don't hold me to it. Hopefully, the government will address that soon. I'm sure it will be a question that they're going to be asked at one of the daily updates anytime soon. So again, keep watching the news and keep visiting the information site that QuickBooks have, or again, visit the one that Moore and Smalley have, which we update daily. I've got a message from Benji on Facebook Messenger. He says, hi Judith, great to see you doing a live question and answer session again. I'm still quite new to QuickBooks, but it's saving me a lot of hassle. Are there any new features within QuickBooks you'd recommend that will help with my independent clothes business? So there are hundreds of amazing features within QuickBooks. I'm a little bit excited about some of the new ones. One of which is the new receipt function within QuickBooks Online. That's really good. It's a bit like using Receipt Bank or Auto Entry, but it's built into QuickBooks, and you can use your QuickBooks app to take pictures, and it will use OCR technology to read that invoice and put it into your QuickBooks software and allow that to link through to payments as they come through the bank. So it stops you having to manually type in any bills that you have. Also, independent clothes business, it depends on how you're selling, if you're selling in a shop or whether you're online. If you're online and you're using things like Shopify, there are links that you can have to link that information from Shopify directly into QuickBooks, which might help. And likewise, if you use PayPal, or Amazon or things like that, that there are links now through third-party apps which will allow you to seamlessly bring that information in, which will save you a lot of time. The most important thing is, if you haven't already done it, is make sure your bank account is linked so that you don't have to enter manually any bank transactions. Unfortunately, through open banking, whilst the positives are that all banks have to comply, the negatives are that you have to update it every 90 days, and it's just making sure that you go through and do that. I've got a question from Ross, a direct message on Twitter. He said, I haven't filed my tax return yet. Am I still eligible for the self-employed support scheme? Well, Ross, it depends on which return you haven't filed. If you haven't filed your current return, which has just ended, which was the return covering the 6th of April 2019 to the 5th of April 2020, then yes, you are still eligible. That return doesn't have to be filed until the 31st of January 2021. If, however, you haven't filed your 2018-19 tax return, which was due to be filed by the 31st of January this year, and the Chancellor did give an extension until I think it was around the 23rd of April to get that filed. Unfortunately, if you didn't file that, I don't think you are eligible for the self-employed income support scheme. So hopefully it's your current one that you haven't filed, and therefore you are still eligible. Margot from Facebook Messenger has said, hey Judith, I'm self-employed and aware of the bounce back loan scheme. What specifically should the bounce back loan be used for in my business? We run a small spa. So the good news is there are no specifics laid out for what the business bounce back loan has to be used for. It can be used to buy new equipment to help you face the upturn in activity post-COVID-19. It can be used to help you with cash flow issues that you may be having at the moment. And it can be used to bring in some cash to pay off some of the debts that you've got at the moment, which you're really struggling to pay. And without any influx, the suppliers may start to hound you a little bit and look at court action. So there's various different ways that you can use that money. The loan system does say that to qualify, you need to have been adversely affected by coronavirus. Now, some businesses of mine are actually increasing their trade at the moment. I've got a few where, because of what they do sell, their actual demand has gone up. So initially you would assume that they have been impacted positively by the coronavirus. However, what that has meant, because they're buying in products and then selling them on, their cash flow has disappeared completely because they're having to stock up to then sell at a later date. So actually their business has still been adversely affected. And indeed, some of them have got business bounce back loans to fund that stock purchases so they can continue to trade and not suffer any ill effects. John from YouTube live feed has asked the question, what is your take on defurloughing and refurloughing? And this is a really good question. It's really hard for businesses at the moment, whether you've got 2 employees, 1 employee, or 150 employees. At MHA Moore and Smalley, we have over 300 employees, and various bits of our business are busier than ever. So teams like myself and some of the other corporate teams, the payroll team in particular, are absolutely manic busy. And we are not furloughing staff. Indeed, we're having to bring some staff through from some other areas. However, some of our other areas, be it like corporate finance work, there is very little happening in terms of buying and selling businesses, and personal tax. There's not a great need for all our personal tax consultants at the moment because people are not keen to have to do all the work to file their 1920 tax return just yet. So we furlough some of those. I think the furlough scheme is great in that if you are short or you don't have enough work, you can furlough your staff for a minimum of 3 weeks. What we've actually done is we've furloughed people for, say, 3 weeks, and then we've brought them back. And then they've either stayed working as normal, or once we've got back up to speed and realised that actually there's probably slightly too many staff that we need, we've then refurloughed people. I think the key thing in the whole furloughing system is the communication with your staff. and making sure what you need to do to keep those staff engaged with you, and make sure that they're not feeling that they're not as valuable as somebody else, particularly where you've got staff that are furloughed and not furloughed. You can get some staff feeling that they're not as important as others that you've kept on. And likewise, if you have kept on some and furloughed others, some of those ones that are doing the work for 100% of their pay, whilst their colleague is getting 80% of their pay for doing nothing, they can also be getting a little bit aggrieved. So I think it's all about communication and making sure that your clients understand the reasons why you're furloughing or unfurloughing people, the reasons for the length of those furlough terms, and that ultimately this whole process is to try and prevent redundancies in the long term. Got a question now from Fred from Twitter, direct message. He says, do you know if you get taxed on your furlough payment, i.e. are you taxed on the already reduced 80% wage? Fred, great question. It's a sort of a yes and a no answer, really. So yes, you are taxed, but you are paying the wages out to your staff. So the 80% you get in actually is offset against what you are paying out. So ultimately, there is no tax implication there because they will cancel each other out. Effectively, that 80% furlough claim is replacing the income that you would have had. And obviously, that income you would have had through sales and turnover, that would have been taxed. So you just need to treat it in your mind a bit like it was customers paying you the money, and you're offsetting that against the actual wage cost. It has no VAT on it. So when you do account for it, it comes through as a no VAT item. It's outside the scope for VAT. And I would include that within an area such as other income in your accounts and call it the furlough or job retention scheme claim. Mick on Twitter has asked that, hello, Judith. I understand that my accountant can't apply for any grants or loans on my behalf. What do I need to do to ensure I've been able to apply without any problems? So that is true and not true, depending on which grants and loans you're talking about. The grants for the CBILS, so the Coronavirus Business Interruption Loan Scheme, they are more complex. So I would expect you to use your accountant's help to put it all together. Depending on the size of the loan that you're going for, we have actually been liaising with banks direct on this. You obviously have to sign the paperwork. You have to provide the information for us to produce the projections and the management information, but we can work with you on that. In terms of the grants, so like the business rates grants, and the self-employed income support scheme grant, we can't apply for those. You do have to do that individually. The self-employed income support grant in particular is done through your personal tax account, so we don't have access to that. So you do need to go through and apply for that yourself. The business bounce back loan, because that is applied for online, and it is such a simple process, it is you that goes in and you're the one that is signing the agreement to all the questions that you're asked. So again, that is something that you would have to apply for. To ensure you don't have any issues with applying, I would say take a look at our COVID hub that we've got on our website. So just in case you missed that earlier, that's www.mooreandsmalley.co.uk. And on the homepage, you'll see a link to our COVID-19 hub. In there is loads of detailed information on applying for the loans in particular and what information that you would need. I have found that the banks initially were quite hard to deal with, and just because, to be fair to them, the amount of applications they were getting and people were applying for loans without any supporting documents. Now we know what banks want, so we're able to pass that on to our clients. So when the applications are going through now, it's happening a lot more seamlessly. And it's worth knowing that if you were turned down initially for the business interruption loan scheme, you can still apply for the bounce back loan scheme. So don't think because that has ended that you can't apply for the bounce back loan. Next question is from Helen on Facebook Messenger. She's put, hi there, am I right in thinking that because furlough is effectively a benefit, it will affect your credit score? I I don't think it does affect your credit score, because if you're the employee getting the furlough claim, you're not getting the furlough claim, your employer is. You are still getting what we call a salary or a wage through pay as you earn. You're still being taxed, and it is not coming through as a benefit to you personally. As far as you're concerned, you're still being paid as normal. It just might be a slightly different amount to what you were used to getting. If you're asking from the stance of a company, I don't think, again, it is classed as a benefit. I think because it is a grant that the government are awarding companies, it shouldn't affect your credit score. Okay, so we're moving on to the next question. This is Chris from Facebook Messenger. He says, I'm thinking about taking all my accounts online. How easy is transferring from desktop application to cloud software? Okay, that's a great question. And Chris, I applaud you for looking at moving to the cloud accounting software. The ease in which it is to transfer depends on what desktop application you use at the moment. If you use QuickBooks Desktop and you're going to move to QuickBooks Online, then it's a very, very simple process. You do just need to be aware that there are certain areas of the QuickBooks Desktop which don't work the same online, and that is first and foremost the stock inventory system. So if you've got big inventory within desktop, then you just probably need to speak to your accountant about that and just double check how that would work. You possibly would need an application linked into QuickBooks Online to manage that inventory. But it's a very, very simple process to convert that. If you are using, say, Sage 50 desktop and you're looking at QuickBooks Online, there are two ways. You can either put through your opening balances as a total, put them in as a journal. You can now import things like the customer list and the supplier list with opening balances for those, or you can do what we call a full conversion, and that is where you take all the data out of Sage 50 and you put that all up to 2 years into QuickBooks Online. That is a slightly more complex procedure, and you would need an accountant to help you with that because there's a bit of alterations that you need to do just because the systems are slightly different, but it's perfectly possible, and I would definitely recommend that you look at the cloud accounting software route. Question from Kath on Facebook Messenger. Hi Judith, I am currently being furloughed, but I'm thinking about setting up my own dessert delivery takeaway service. But having an income through dessert delivery, will this mean I get in trouble with HMRC, no longer qualify for furlough? It's a really good question because there are lots of people out there that are furloughed, that are bored, they've had ideas, they want to start up a small business, or they want to help out, say, food banks or things like that. Now, it comes down to your employer. So your employer has furloughed you. If they are happy for you to do other work, then that is absolutely fine, and they will not get in trouble with HMRC, and it will not prevent you from being qualifying for the furlough. However, some businesses do stipulate in their contracts of employment that you cannot work for anybody else while employed for them. So it's actually a question to go to your employer about and find out whether they would be happy for you to set up this dessert delivery business. And they possibly would have some questions about how long you are looking to do this for. Is it short term? Is it something you're going to carry on with afterwards? And if you're carrying on with it afterwards, is it going to impact on your availability to work within their business? But to answer your question, you will not get in trouble with HMRC over claiming the furlough claim, because again, you're not claiming that, your employer's claiming that. What I would say is, please make sure that if you do decide to set up this dessert delivery, that you keep adequate records, because that income will be taxable on a self-assessment tax return. Okay, so I'm really sorry. That's all we've got time for today. If you've still got any other questions, please get in touch with QuickBooks support team on Facebook, or reach out to me at MHA Moore and Smalley. So you can do that via an inquiry form on our website, or you can email me direct at judith.dugdale@mooreandsmalley.co.uk. Coming up on Ask the Expert tomorrow is Alex Payne. He's the founder of the Influence Route, which is a marketplace tech business connecting brands and people of influence. And also, just a final reminder that if you do need advice, please join the official Intuit Quickbooks SMB community group on Facebook. Accountants and business experts are on hand 24/7 to help you. So that just leaves me to say thank you very much to all of you that have tuned in today. Thank you for your questions, and I hope I've been able to help you in some small way. And finally, just hope that you all manage to stay safe.